Another battle with technology.
Every friggin' day. Every
Another battle
friggin'
with
day.
technology.
But we're here. We're okay. We're here.
Okay, we are here. We're here. We're sorry we've been away.
We did it. Hi everyone.
Hello.
I look a bit like a mad scientist today, which I'm not against. But yeah,
No, it's not necessarily a bad look.
No. Jesse the mad scientist. Would anyone be surprised? No. Not a living soul.
For those of you who look for us on Sundays, and we're grateful for all of you who do, we've if you wonder where we are and we're not here, it probably has something to do with that 2.5-year-old.
Don't blame the kid. Don't blame the child.
I'm throwing the kid under the bus.
Don't blame the child. How dare you? Sometimes it's as simple as my mom can't watch Daisy, which means that Daisy would have to be here. And sometimes that's doable, and other times, depending on her Daisy mood, less doable. And sometimes there's just work in life, which is rather annoying. And the only thing I do occasionally miss, I don't know if you guys have this, I do occasionally miss the COVID shutdown part, because it was such a weird moment where you just had absolutely nothing to do. And there was something kind of wonderful about it.
Yeah.
Not worth the pandemic, of course, but still kind of just crazy to go, I have absolutely nothing to do today. I can do nothing. I don't have to bathe. I don't have to see another human being. I can be an absolute mess. And it's just okay. And sometimes I miss that a little bit.
I want to apologize.
He's getting over a cough is the other thing.
I'm on antibiotics,
yes,
so I'm not contagious.
You're sitting next to me. It doesn't really matter. We
only
live together.
To myself.
We live together. If you're going to be contagious, we're all screwed.
I caught my own infection again.
You did. I know. Woof. I will tell you, one of the Saturdays we missed, Daisy was invited to her first kid birthday party, which was one hell of an experience for me, in part because I learned that though I had not had such an extreme reaction, I might actually want to punch a child. To explain, our friend, it was her friend who just turned 3. It was his birthday, and they had a bounce house. Daisy had only been in a bounce house once before. She was enjoying aforementioned bounce house, and then a much bigger kid kept coming over and jumping into her and knocking her over on purpose. And I felt something deep within my soul where I said to myself, can I go? I said, can I go and hurt this? I mean, I shouldn't. But by like the 5th time she did it, I was ready to climb inside and just be like, I will take you down. Get off my baby. So learning experience for all parties.
You didn't see the movie Tar with Kate Blanchett.
But you told me that this reminded you.
This wonderful scene where she's dropping off her daughter at school, at preschool or early school.
Yeah.
And she goes over to a girl who's been bullying her daughter and stage whispers to her in German, fluent German. We're reading subtitles. Something like, I will make your life a living hell. Mm-hmm. I will destroy you. I mean, she just, it's a wonderful little monologue. Mm-hmm. Wonderful moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Arthur, just check the weather before you send your child to a bounce house. There have been some bounce houses taking off of late. Oh, no, really? This one was tied down and there was no wind, just really obnoxious kids. So yeah, that was, I was standing with another mother whose daughter was also getting knocked over by this bigger kid. And the two of us were just like, how much prison do we get? Like on a scale of 1 to prison, where do we land? Shannon says, will you be sending Daisy to summer camp this year? So Daisy is, I say she's only 2. They start to have some kinds of programs, but not really. And the ones they do have are like comically expensive. So me and my group of best friend moms have decided that we're just sort of going to go door to door, and Monday will be Maria's house, and Tuesday will be our house, and Wednesday will be Danielle's house, etc. And that's how we'll try to keep the kids amused. But we'll see. Yeah. Thank you. Sean says, Mama Jessie Bear, don't worry. We've all had many moments like this. I know. Yeah, yeah. Don't please don't knock my kid over with force because I will find you. Oh yeah, yeah. As I said, even thinking about it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna kill that kid. I came home to my parents and I was like, well, I just had my first experience wanting to murder someone else's kid. That was great. Ay, ay, ay. How big was the kid bothering Daisy? Is he like Chubby from our gang? So the little girl was about 5 and she was bigger by Daisy by like 2 feet and probably 20 pounds. And I say she kept like beelining to Daisy, jumping up and down and then knocking her over. Yeah, not my favorite thing. Anyway, but we are here now. I did have a lovely Mother's Day. Thank you guys for asking. We had a really nice Mother's Day. We were just together, which is really all we wanted. I asked my mom what she wanted for Mother's Day. She said to be with my family. I said, done. So that's what we did. We were just together. My husband likes to make crepes. So we ate crepes.
And he makes them well.
And it was like that. Yeah. You know, for me, I've never understood, to me, forced holidays, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, sort of these kinds of things. I don't get why people necessarily need them to be huge. I just think it's nice if you can be together. So this year, my birthday is the same day as Father's Day, which happens. And we like sharing it.
Yep.
We enjoy sharing. My birthday is always right around Father's Day anyway. So we just kind of like to do that.
Yep.
Ken, we have actually never been to Cannes. Ken is asking no Cannes for you this year. You have never done it. We have never done it. Reason being that it is one hell of a thing to take on. And unless you are being sent.
Yeah. See, you don't go to Cannes on your own. No one, well, I don't know anybody who goes.
A few friends of ours do. They love it and they do it.
But my vision of Cannes has always been on assignment.
Yeah.
Somebody would, that's how I would go there. If somebody assigned, all the years I worked in Entertainment Tonight, they had no interest in Cannes except for who was on the red carpet opening night,
fancy stuff,
big stars, all that kind of thing. So they wouldn't be covering the movies.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's not what they want.
So that never happened, and I never got a gig. Mm-hmm. That's why I've never been to Cannes.
But a lot of our friends go. A lot of our friends are there now.
I have been to Columbus. I'm not going next weekend, but I've been to Columbus. And in fact, I went the year that Hooked on Hollywood.
That's right. That's right. You
did a book signing there.
You did.
It was sort of the book's coming out party. And we had a very good time.
Yeah.
The last time I was in Columbus was Memorial Day weekend, 1982, a significant event in my life, because it was there that I was in the dealer's room on Saturday, and somebody said they'd seen my audition tape on Entertainment Tonight the night before.
That's right.
So that's a marker in my life.
It's crazy. The thing with Cannes always, Doug is saying, sounds like Coppola's new movie is getting a real positive response. It's getting totally mixed reviews.
Yeah, mixed.
Extremely mixed.
Except,
like,
I read a British critics column. I skim. I don't really want to read a full review to find out more than I want to know.
Yeah.
But the phrase I did pick up on was, whatever else you can say about it, it's not dull. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Well,
Justin Chang wrote an essay about it in the New Yorker.
Yeah.
And I think he came away with similar feelings.
You mean Pulitzer Prize winning Justin Chang?
That's right.
You mean Pulitzer Prize winning Justin Chang? Indeed. Yeah, it is. It's a really interesting place because to me, what I find is that it's an extreme situation. You very rarely hear about the films that get sort of a meh. You tend to hear a ton about the ones that get, and may I just say, who the hell is timing the standing ovations? And do they really last for 11 minutes? Because if they do, I would be bored out of my mind. You either hear about these standing ovations, which they always list by number. They stood for 8 minutes, they stood for 11 minutes, or you hear it got booed and people hated it.
Right.
So I've never really, just to be honest, we've never really looked at Cannes and said, oh, I'm excited because I hear it won this or that at Cannes, because I can't take it seriously because it gets such extreme responses.
Yes.
You know, it's not like Toronto where we wait and hear what some of our friends have to say, or Venice even.
Yeah.
Cannes is sort of just a bit of a mess. And in that sense, as I say, very specifically, that it gets these big reactions of either everyone hated it or everyone loved it.
I wouldn't want to go on my own. I would want to go under the wing of an experienced Cannes.
Well, Pete's been posting about, my godfather, Pete Hammond, who writes for Deadline. He's been posting about it, of course, which is always interesting. Josh, my friend Josh just sent me one of his roundups talking about Kevin Costner's new movie, the new Western.
Oh yeah, the new 2-part.
4-part.
2-part.
4.
All right.
1 of 4.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I only know because it's literally in the headline.
Okay.
Yeah. Horizon, an American Saga review. Kevin Costner's Chapter 1 of 4 sets stage for epic story of American West and its complicated history. And that's Pete's newest piece. So I'm intrigued. As for Coppola, what's been really interesting is that my favorite comment thus far, hands down, is someone said it's like a really expensive version of The Room. And I don't think I've laughed that hard in a long time. People overindulgent, all the rest of it. But I'm sure the thing is, I'm sure it's interesting at the very least, even if you hate it. Because I've seen a lot of the you can't help it. A lot of the hate comments are so funny that they're the ones that stick more so than someone saying, oh, I loved it. Somebody said they saw someone walking out ahead of them and texting their dad, well, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. Stuff like that. Quite funny. Who stands and claps for 11 minutes? That's what I'm saying, Lynn.
Yeah.
Why do they time who stands for that long? But also, why do they time these? Why do they time? I've never understood. They come on and they go, there was a 13-minute standing ovation for so-and-so. And you go, that's nice for you. Any thoughts on Sam Rubin? Well, we're
many thoughts.
Many thoughts on Sam. We're going to his funeral tomorrow.
And for those of you who don't know, Sam Rubin was a fixture on the Hollywood scene for the last 40 years. He was a charter member of the KTLA Morning News, which is the Tribune station here in LA. They own WPIX in New York and the station in Chicago. It's the station group. And he's been their entertainment reporter all these years. But more than just
no, he's real. I mean, so he was part of starting the Critics' Choice. He's a part of that.
Broadcast Film Critics.
Right.
One of the now things, called the CCA, Critics' Choice Association.
One of the things that has always blown my mind with him is that we would see him at screenings or events in the evening, knowing that this is a guy who gets up at 3:00 in the morning to go and do KTLA.
Yeah.
One of the hardest working people I think I've ever met, really devoted and dedicated.
Yep.
Also had 4 kids, and his son, Colby, did an absolutely heartbreaking tribute to him on air. If you want to cry a whole bunch, you can look that up. Colby Rubin, remembering his dad. It is so beautiful and it kills you. He's 16 years old. Sam was such a big piece of things here, especially here in LA, and for movie industry.
And he was an upbeat guy on and off the air.
Very positive.
And
was mentor to a lot of people.
Yeah.
He mentored a lot of people, including our friend Jenny, who then went on to be at KTLA for a very, very long time. And she started, they were just kids. And it's just, so yeah, when I got the text from somebody saying Sam Rubin's dead, I thought they were wrong.
He was 64, and
he did his morning show.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. That's the whole thing. He did the morning show, came home and died.
No, I thought Scott Mance filled in for him.
No, that was the whole morning was screwy.
Oh,
yeah. anyway, it's very sudden. He died. Nobody, yeah, I don't know if his family had any thought, if he had something, whatever it is, it's out of nowhere for most of us, and very sad. Again, dad with two older kids and two slightly younger ones, and it's just awful.
Yeah.
But I will say that I said this to mommy yesterday. Uh, it is amazing when everyone is posting their memories of you, and they're all so lovely and kind. And, you know, if you have to leave a legacy, let it be that.
Yeah.
Right? Let your legacy be one where people talk about how much they enjoyed and appreciated you. You've done something right. That's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
If the reaction you get is everyone saying, "Oh man, what a good guy he was," and he was always very supportive of my dad. If my dad had something coming out and he wanted to promote it, he asked Sam. Sam said, "Come on the show." No questions.
No, never.
Sam said, "Let me know and I'll
Never.
get you on the show anytime." That's the way he was. And so, yeah, it's really heartbreaking. The funeral's tomorrow and we'll be there with a whole bunch of other friends. And we just have to deal with it. And it's terrible, but as I say, kind of nice at least that he has such a joyful legacy and so many people remember him fondly.
He had a mischievous streak.
Oh yeah, always.
So I told this story once before, but I'll repeat it here. I used to work out with a trainer 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at home, and we'd start with 20 minutes on the treadmill, and he would come at 7:30 in the morning, and I'd go upstairs to at our home in Toluca Lake, and I'd turn on Channel 5,
Mhm.
KTLA Morning News, and so I'd watch Sam while I was walking on the treadmill. And one day he did an exceptionally good piece or an interview or something, and I left him a voicemail just saying, "Hey Sam, I watch you every Monday, Wednesday, Friday faithfully, and today was just, you hit it out of the park," something like that. He played that tape on the air the next day and said, "So what are you doing Tuesday and Thursday? Why don't you watch? Why only Monday, Wednesday, Friday?" He played the voicemail message.
Of course he did.
Because that was part of his MO too.
Yeah.
Was being a little mischievous.
Yeah, but as mischief goes,
yeah,
pretty gentle mischief.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, it's really, it's going to be very sad to go to events and not see him because he was such a staple. So yeah, that's kind of how I think everybody's just sort of in shock. Everyone's just still in a state of shock because it just happened. It just happened. So yeah, we're all just kind of taking it in, and grateful. Again, grateful to see just how many people posting about him and just saying how it was consistent. He was exactly what he was.
Yep.
Extremely hardworking and caring, and adored his family more than anything. So, not my favorite.
Rest in peace, Sam.
You guys, it's a very Jewish weekend in that you guys started with a memorial on Friday and you have a funeral on Monday.
Went to memorial on Friday for Ned Comstock, who was a research librarian at the USC Doheny Cinema Library, the Cinema Library at USC.
Yeah.
And he'd been there 45 years. He retired a couple of years ago.
We spoke about him when he passed away.
He is thanked in more film books than I reckon than any other individual. Not only because he helped people, as librarians are trained and want to do, but he went the extra mile. He was like a walking computer. He remembered where things were in the various collections at USC. They have an MGM collection with transcripts of production meetings. Remarkable stuff, unique primary source material.
Yeah.
And he said, "You're working on something about Louis B. Mayer.
Yeah.
I think I know." And he would, unsolicited, make Xeroxes and send them to people that he knew would find something interesting. Just no one like him. No one like him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So again, and unfortunately, it has become, as Mommy said, usual suspects. Every time one of our friends passes, you go to the memorials, the funerals, whatever, and it's the same group of people. It's like, oh, hey, everybody, things are going well, huh? But it's because most of you know each other.
yeah,
You know, it's not a huge group in the OG film historian, you know, universe. They're all friends, and yeah, it's again though, you know, for someone to pass and to have everybody say such incredibly kind things and loving things, at least this is the legacy you leave. Better than them going, oh, good, they're dead now.
yeah.
You know, preferable. Anyway, so movie wise, just sort of getting into it. It's been so interesting for us. We're doing this is the time of year where we do a lot of Emmy interviews. A number of folks, what we call below the line, let me enunciate. And so that means cinematographers, sound mixers, editors, music supervisors,
Costume designers,
everything you can think of. And I always say it's, sorry, Evanier says, I don't want Leonard to come to my funeral. I'm afraid he'll give it a bad review. Thank you, Evanier. Please, we'll have Alice in all black weeping over it'll be great. But it's really interesting to talk to these folks because you have people who have worked with absolutely everyone. We just interviewed a casting director named Avi Kaufman, and she teased us at one point saying she felt like this was an episode of This Is Your Life because we started at the beginning and worked through. If you've never listened to our podcast, that's how we do it. Is we want to have sort of like the whole story. So we start at the beginning of the career and work up to whatever it is that they're talking about.
I got to say to her, looking at her resume, are you the one who discovered Haley Joel Osment for The Sixth Sense?
And she was.
And she was.
She was.
And she described the moment that she walked him into the room, capital T, capital R, the room, to meet
where Bruce Willis and M. Night Shyamalan were, and said, "This is the kid. This is the one.
This is the one."
She also did a number of my favorite movies, including State and Maine. But yeah, just, you know, and I said to her, what was it like working with David Mamet for something like that? She's fascinating, and this is. I always say this, it's my favorite time of year because most of these folks you can't speak to because they're always working.
Yeah.
We spoke to a cinematographer. Was it not Ripley? It was for the light, all the light we cannot see. Yeah. We spoke to the cinematographer for that, and he was in where in South America was he?
Uruguay,
because he was working on Kiss of the Spider Woman. So, you know, he's in his hotel room. Last year when we were doing this and we spoke to one of the production designers who works with Guillermo del Toro all the time, it was, she was in the car driving in Scotland because they had just been looking at different locations. Like, this is the kind of stuff. And she was apologizing because her husband pulled in so they could get coffee. Like, they're always working.
Yeah.
Good.
Craig. Yes, Craig. I was talking about the Martin Brest Going in Style, and she was answering about the remake, the more recent remake.
Yes. But again, you know, with people like this, and certainly for casting directors who've worked for such a long time. I mean, again, another movie for her was Basketball Diaries, and that's Leonardo DiCaprio. She said she remembers introducing Leonardo DiCaprio to Mark Wahlberg. She's worked with Tobey Maguire a number of times. Again, so to me, this is the fun bit, because as much as you love talking to actors and directors, because it's a blast, the folks who are working, they work year round. You know, they could be with someone like Guillermo del Toro on a Monday, and then with Paul Schrader on a Wednesday, with James Cameron on Friday. You know, they see everybody, they speak to everybody.
Yes, it's their life.
Yeah,
it's their life.
If you're working, you're working.
Yeah.
And
by the way, I meet people in my comings and goings who tune into our Sunday live stream here and don't realize that we have a podcast.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
let me plug our podcast.
We have a podcast
called Maltin on Movies. And we usually post on Fridays.
Yep.
A new episode. Last week's episode was with
Mira
Mira
Sorvino.
Sorvino. It was in a new film. And that's what gives us access to her.
Yeah.
And we're always happy to plug the new film in return for them being patient with us to
talk about everything else.
Everything else.
Well, and that's
and it's called Maltin on Movies, and you can find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah. It's yeah, exactly. Lynn says those people have the inside baseball stories. Well, that's it, isn't it? It's so to be a fly on the wall. You know, when somebody's working in casting, I was just talking to my friend. So most of the shows that I've been watching recently on TV / streaming, whatever, have ended. A bunch of them have ended. So I'm trying to find something to watch when I'm just trying to relax or sort of take my mind off things. So I started rewatching Orange is the New Black. Yes, Maltin on Movies is on Spotify. It's on Spotify. It's on all the things. iTunes, you name it, it exists. But I started rewatching Orange is the New Black because I haven't seen it since I watched it originally. And I just kind of felt like watching something. So I put that on. Well, my friend Jen Houston was the casting director for that. And I started texting her because I just said, how did you find all these faces? How did you, where did this all come from? And she said to me, she had to beg people to audition for the first season. Because one of the things, and we've talked about this a lot, is people have short-term memory, and that's not their fault. But it's just reality, right? You don't remember. Something that we often bring up is the casting director we interviewed, Sarah Hallie Finn, who casts all of the Marvel movies. All of them from the beginning. Go ahead.
She was the one who championed the idea of Robert Downey Jr. for Tony Stark and Iron Man.
Yeah.
And this was at a point when his career was in flux.
Yeah.
He just served time. He was not insurable for a while.
Yep.
And people were, wary of him.
Yeah. And this is the thing. She's talking about all these folks. Well, it's hard to remember because the Marvel universe has existed for quite a while now. It has been some years. People forget that Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth and all they weren't really names yet. Sorry, guys. And so the thing is, it's you have to fight for people, but you forget. Well, for Jen, casting something like Orange is the New Black, she was begging people to audition because it was for Netflix, which did not have the hold that it does now.
Yep.
And she's saying, so it's streaming TV, but it's different and blah, blah, blah. And that's the thing is that, she had to fight and beg people to come and audition. And then obviously once you hit success, then people want it. But getting into it and think about how large a cast that is, an ensemble cast especially.
And the casting directors cast everyone.
Everybody. Well, depending on what the project is, but she was. And so it's just nuts to think about. How did you find this? How did you find that? Elliot, I'm so glad Elliot says he loves Sarah Hallie Finn. Well, if you can listen to her episode, she's so interesting.
We have 8 years
Yeah.
of hour-long interviews.
All kinds of people.
Posted online for free.
Yeah. Doug, where do you record Maltin on Movies? And do you go to a studio in LA? Well, prior to COVID,
we did.
For several years, we recorded at Meltdown Comics. That's when we were with Nerdist. And Meltdown Comics was a fantastic store on Sunset Boulevard.
Comic book store.
Right in Hollywood. And it was so much fun to record there because people would walk in and just go, where the hell am I? And we were upstairs in this tiny, pretty unattractive looking little booth. But it was a blast. And we had so many people come over. Al Pacino came there, Patton Oswalt, and just tons and tons and tons. Amy Adams. Angela Lance. No. Angela didn't come to that one. Who came to that one? That was so funny. It's Haley Mills.
Yes.
Haley Mills came to that location, and then they closed. They closed Meltdown, and we ended up moving right next door to something Meltdown at Nerdist had created, this little bitty theater. So we were at the Ruby, which was right next to that for a little while. Then that got closed. So we moved to.
Actually, I haven't driven on that block to see what they've done. Have they?
I don't think
Have they torn it down?
I haven't been in so long. I don't know.
Yeah.
So then we moved to Burbank, and we were at Starburns. Starburns are the folks that created Rick and Morty and some of that kind of stuff. So we were recording there, and that was really nice. Nice people, pleasant little room, and Burbank is calm enough that it's not hard to get to. And then the pandemic hit, and so obviously nobody do anything for a while.
And during all that time, we never did a telephone interview. We only did in-person interviews, and we turned down some good opportunities to talk to people we really would have enjoyed having on the show, but we wanted the experience of sitting with them, being with them,
especially for an hour. When you're sitting for an hour, it's very personal and special. So we loved that, and we didn't want to give it up. And then COVID happened, so obviously no recording, and then Zoom started to become a thing, and then the industry sort of started to go, well, I guess we have to do something. And so we started doing Zoom interviews. But also over that time, most of the recording studios that are nearby closed because they couldn't afford to stay open during COVID. And then when things were slowly coming back up. So So now, because pretty much every interview that we're asked to do is via Zoom, very few people want to do stuff in person anymore. Most of the time we're in my dad's office upstairs. Every now and then we will do stuff in person, but really it's very rare, which I hate, honestly. I love talking to people in person, but you do what you have to do, and it is what it is. Doug is asking what our lag time is. So sometimes like Mira Sorvino, I think we recorded on Thursday and posted it Friday. We do.
That's what we did this week with Avi Kaufman.
With Avi, yeah, same thing. We recorded Thursday, posted it Friday. We very rarely have to edit. We usually go straight through. The only real editing happens if the dogs are barking, if they forget, our phone rings, or somebody forgets a name and we want to look it up. So generally though, our shows almost always are just straight through.
Yeah.
So very little editing and very quick to post. And our engineer, who has been our engineer for a long time, is wonderful. And he just puts it up and there it is. So we're very lucky to have him and very lucky to do that. The only time we tend to hold episodes is if we're asked to. So sometimes you'll interview someone and the publicist wants to tie it to the opening of something else. And so that's when maybe you record with them in June and it doesn't air for a little while. But generally it's not too far apart. It's usually pretty quick. So yeah, it's an easy setup. And thank you, Lynn. Lynn says she's been listening since the beginning. It's crazy how long we've been doing it. And I feel much better now that I'm not terrible at it. Because the beginning I was not thrilled.
You've gotten really good.
Thanks. The beginning, if I could burn some of it, I would burn some of it. You just don't, I had never done it. I'd never done that before. And the reason that it ended up being me, my dad had a different co-host, and then that co-host was working too much. And the easiest person to fill in was me because I was there.
And then I got sick.
Yeah.
And you were overseas.
I was in England visiting my husband.
So you FaceTimed in.
Skype. Me and Baron Skyped episodes.
You Skyped in.
He was crazy.
With Baron Vaughn. Yeah.
But so yeah, it's a whole
Amazing.
thing.
Movies.
Yes.
Movies. Turning the page here.
Yes.
If opened this weekend.
How much did you like it, Leonard?
Well, I didn't hate it.
No, you didn't hate it.
But I was really disappointed because I was looking forward to a whimsical film, and it's very forced whimsy. And if it has a message, I don't know what the message is. The if means imaginary friends. And this 12-year-old girl, who is the heroine of the story, experiences the worst thing you can go through, I would think, a parent dying. And that's how the film opens. That's how the film opens. Parents who are thinking of taking your kids to see this movie.
I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like my Tom class. Thank you.
You know, it's nothing new about dead parents in family films.
Who do they think they are? Disney?
Yeah. But in this case, there's a montage where you see the mother. Obviously, she loses her hair. She's wearing a headband or a beanie. So you actually see what the child is experiencing, going through, having her mother die. I don't know if I want to, go on from there. Anyway, so she becomes aware that there is a secret society of imaginary friends who are in limbo because they're grown-up humans don't believe in them anymore.
Okay.
I'm sorry I couldn't get that out faster, but that's the premise of the movie. And Ryan Reynolds is the sort of the humanoid version.
And did John Krasinski direct it as well as write it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
John Krasinski wrote and directed this film, and chose his cast. Like, he asked a lot of friends, so it's a pretty great voice cast.
Great voice cast. George Clooney.
But you and Mommy both just didn't love it.
No. Wanted to.
So
didn't.
Yeah, that's kind of where they landed on that one. But as a surprise, and I don't think it's open, but you liked it, so I'm going to say it anyway. Furiosa.
Which the last one with Charlize Theron as Furiosa, Mad Max movie I'm talking about, was incredible to watch. Talk about visceral action scenes, which George Miller specializes in. It was almost too intense. I saw it at the now shuttered ArcLight in Hollywood. It was almost too intense. This one dials it back a little, but it's still amazing. You really get a sense that they're doing what they're showing.
And Mommy liked it.
Yeah.
Which was, that's not generally she told me she was going to see it with my dad. And this is one of those funny, we live in LA things where they saw it in Century City, which is a bit of a schlep from where we live. And so you have to really want to see the movie you're going to, because otherwise you're dealing with traffic for no reason. And so my mom didn't really want to do it, but she said, well, I don't want Daddy to go alone, so I'll go with him. They came home. I said, and she goes, I thought that was really good. So it's nice. It's nice when you get a surprise, something you wouldn't expect. So yeah, you guys enjoyed that. Craig is asking, roundup question. Did you see Pool Man? Yes.
Yep.
That was his last night of class. He showed Pool Man, and
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine came to class, which the kids loved. You did not like the movie. I don't think anybody really has.
It's a very self-indulgent sort of glorified home movie exercise. And he got Danny DeVito to be in it. He got Annette Bening to be in it, so it's not to be ignored or belittled on the surface. And, but it doesn't quite deliver.
Didn't work. Have you done an interview with James Newton Howard?
I started watching Unfrosted. And
So the other one is Babes. You haven't seen Babes
No.
yet. Furiosa you liked. You haven't seen the new Planet of the Apes.
No.
You and
And
Mommy.
I have no interest in the new Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, you and Mommy started watching Unfrosted and turned it off.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. And no, have not seen Wildcat, but really want to, and really wish that the publicist would answer me about that one. I really want to see it. I love Ethan Hawke. He's a
Yeah.
really talented guy. So, have you done an interview with James Newton Howard? Well, you did a fantastic interview with James Newton Howard when we were in Bologna, Italy for their
No,
film.
in the Karlovy
Karlovy
Vary,
Vary. Sorry, wrong one.
Czech
And
Republic.
in the Czech Republic, Karlovy Vary. You did a fantastic interview with him, which is on YouTube. I found it a while ago.
And he's at the piano.
He was sitting at the piano for it. It was great. And then we tried to get him to do the actual show, and the man is always working. So it's one of those that we have this list of people who say yes and then are just always working. And you can't be mad because they're working.
Yeah.
/ how dare you be working and not come do our show? You can't really argue. Like Lin-Manuel Miranda, one of the nicest, truly one of the nicest people you could ever meet, has always said yes. And he goes, and I have no idea when I'm going to have time. And we say, Lynn, don't you worry. We will be here.
Yep.
We love you. We will be here. Yeah, Nick says Unfrosted was bad. They should have done real research.
I thought it was stupid. And all these great people in it.
Yeah. It's always terrible when it feels like a waste, you know?
Yeah.
A waste of talent. Always quite frustrating. I did watch the 4 new episodes of Bridgerton. That's a lot of fluff. It was perfect for when my kid fell asleep and I needed to relax. The other day I read someone who was just like, Bridgerton's not very good. And I said, well, but what do you want from it? Like, genuinely, what do you want from it? I want to watch something that requires nothing of me. Nothing of me at all. I just want to watch, and it's pretty dresses, and then it's finished.
Yeah.
And that's Bridgerton.
Well,
it is easy.
Alice and I bailed on several miniseries that we invested in.
Yeah.
And we're sorry we invested the time. One of them is Sugar with Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Monsieur Spade.
Yeah, you had a handful that just didn't really.
The New Look, which was interesting, which pulled us in
for a while. You liked it, then not so much.
And then I started wondering, well, how much of this is true?
Yeah.
And how much should I be believing as truth?
Yeah.
That's the one about Coco Chanel and.
Did you watch any of Baby Reindeer, or is that just Mommy?
Just Mommy.
My mom watched. I watched Baby Reindeer first, and then my mom watched it. Holy moly, Baby Reindeer. If you haven't seen that, it's incredible and insane. And now the following, where people are trying to figure out who the real people are, is like another, it's bonkers, honestly, but I loved it. Lynn says, I finished Sugar. It took a turn that was a bit odd, I'm sure. You know, Palm Royale, I tried Palm Royale. I don't know if Mommy did. I tried Palm Royale a little bit and liked it. And then it was just kind of there. So I didn't think it was anything special. I didn't mind it, but I didn't think it was anything special.
And then we watched Ripley, which is just so gorgeous.
A lot of the Emmy interviews we're doing are Ripley, because that's some of the folks that they're putting out there to be interviewed because they're nominated.
And we have been able to talk to Robert Elswit, the brilliant cinematographer.
Yeah.
Who I can never get to class because he's always working.
I'm sorry. Lynn, Baby Reindeer. I mean, no one is likable and they all need therapy. That should be the pull quote on the poster. I think I was lucky because I saw it as soon as it came out, and I had multiple friends tell me not to read or look at anything. So I knew absolutely nothing and watched the whole thing and then read all the details. And that was very useful because it meant that I was just going along for this insane ride. And then after the fact, found out real people, real story, all of that. So it's one of those moments where I feel lucky that I saw it when I saw it, so that I didn't have everybody else talking about it. You know, that's kind of, it's a nice way to do it. Paul Schrader has raved about the new film, I Saw the TV Glow. I don't know anything about that one.
Yeah,
yet.
I've read a little about that.
Yeah.
Don't trust everything you read.
Well, okay. See, that's the thing. It's Lynn's just saying I knew nothing either, but friends said I had to watch it. Again, this is what's so tricky, right? And it's what we always say is the greatest spoiler of film festivals is that we see something early. That really is the greatest aspect of it, is you see it early before anybody can tell you anything. And so what that means is that you haven't heard for months that it's the greatest thing ever. You haven't heard for months that this was the greatest performance so-and-so has ever given. You haven't heard any, in the same way that you almost wish for something like Megalopolis, you almost wish you didn't know who made it,
Yeah.
because you'd rather just sort of walk in and go, okay, what is this movie? Instead of having baggage. But the reality is there is baggage.
Yeah.
It just is.
Especially having just read Sam Watson's book about Francis Coppola.
So is this what we're showing today? My dad has brought out for show and tell. And don't worry, I know you've asked us before. I don't mind. I love people finding that interview my dad did with James Newton Howard. It's such a good one. And it's kind of hidden. So I'm very happy to talk about that again. My dad has brought down one of his trays of pins. We have 3 of these.
I collect lapel pins and I wear lapel pins.
So I'm going to start pulling out some of my favorites, and then you can
I'll pull out some
choose
of mine.
which ones are yours. Well, I do like this one. This is a personal favorite of mine. Hang on. Fox Theater Kiddies Club. I love the ones that don't make sense unless someone tells you what they are. If that makes any sense when I say it like that. I love the sort of weird ones that are just special wear. I just lost Donald. I love this Donald Duck cola cap.
I had that made. I found a perfect condition bottle cap for that product. And I have a 6-pack.
I love this one.
Of Donald Duck cola as well.
Big fan of that one. We have some newer pins that a friend of ours has been making. We've talked about rockin' pins before, and our friend Mauricio, he has done a handful of pins like this. So normally my dad likes authentically old pins, but it's fun when we can find something new. This is one of our, I will lovingly call random go-tos. If my dad we want something kind of quirky on the lapel, Gort.
From the day the earth stood still. If I have to add that, you don't know who Gort is.
Yeah. We love having Gort. They say my favorite thing with picking his pins for different outfits is, I'll always say, is there something specific that you want to wear?
This is a double collectible.
Yep.
Because
we try to, when he can, he will try to have a pin that relates to what he's going to, or if he's interviewing somebody, something that they will like, things like that.
This is a badge for a newsreel photographer, like a press badge.
Hang on, try.
Hard to see
because it's reflective.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and tilt it for you.
Yeah. For the New York World's Fair, the 1939 New York World's Fair, which
my dad collects.
I love the Trial on Paris Fair.
My dad collects 1939 World's Fair stuff. And my mom and I, for many years, have gone on excursions to try to find rare pieces. You have quite a lot now.
Yeah.
You have quite a lot of pieces, and we love them. This. I think this, yes, Craig, he is writing his review for Furiosa. It'll be up soon. This is one of my favorites because people always ask you what it is, and the story is fantastic. So this says Junior G-Man on it, and every single time he wears it, people ask him what it is. So
G-Man was the slang term for FBI agent, government man. In fact, Jimmy Cagney starred in a movie called G-Man, 1936. And that's when J. Edgar Hoover was a heroic figure to Americans. And among the Americans he was heroic to, ending a sentence with a preposition, was Shirley Temple, biggest star in the world. And Shirley Temple had these badges made up, Junior G-Men, for her crew at Fox Studios. And they had to wear it every day. And if they didn't wear it, there was a penalty. Like a kitty that you put a quarter in or a dime or something like that went to a charity. And I had it authenticated by Shirley Temple. I found it at an antique show many, many years ago. And when I first interviewed her in the late 80s, she said, "Oh, yes, I did that." And then she had a second pin, which we might be able to find, that says Shirley Temple Police.
Yeah, which is also a really good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Junior G-Man, you could only get that
If you work
via Shirley Temple, which I love. 1 second, sorry. Do you have any comics from 1939 showing the World's Fair?
No.
There you go. Myth, thank you. One interview I like re-listening to is the one with Kevin Feige, because the interview is so personal versus the general type of interview. Thank you. We really love Kevin Feige. And the reason is because he is very genuine. When he talks to you, he is talking to you. You know, he is talking to you. You are having a conversation with him. He knows us. If he sees me without my dad, he still acknowledges my existence. Things like that. He's so nice and he's so knowledgeable. And he comes to my dad's class with every single new Marvel movie.
Yep.
And he talks to the kids. You always say the most impressive thing about him is that he can answer every nerd question as well as every business question.
He's a fanboy turned suit.
And he's a very special guy. Very, very special guy. My dad has a number of these studio pins that would have just been for someone working there, but afterwards are much more entertaining. So this one says RKO Studios electrician. And again, I love these because they're not meant to be collectibles.
Yeah.
This someone wore, but we enjoy having stuff like that because it just makes us smile. This is a good one. I'll do this one.
Yeah, hard to see this one because it's embossed.
I'll try. You just tell them what it is and then I'll show them.
Okay. I'm trying to read it. It's hard. Cecil B. DeMille. It's for the world premiere of Cecil B. DeMille's Union Pacific. Golden Spike Days. That's commemorating the Golden Spike that united the transcontinental railroads. 1939 movie, Union Pacific.
Again, I really enjoy when people see these things and sort of come over and try to figure out what they are. Another fun one that again just would have been something that somebody, security or someone at Paramount would have been wearing is this guy. Let's see if it focuses. There it goes. It says Paramount and has a number on it. I get a kick out of those as much as anything.
And how old is that? I don't know, because that was the logo from the beginning.
Yep.
Paramount Mountain. It was long before it was a Gulf and Western company. So it's got to be, could be 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah. This is newer, but you've had it a very, very long time.
Well, this is special too because it was brought back from the Swiss film archives for me by Bill and Karen Everson.
So it's Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin and Paulette Goddard from behind, walking into the sun in the last shot of Modern Times. And
it's we use this one a lot because it's quite subtle, but if you look at it closely, you see what it is. Again, some pins, because depending on what he's doing, some pins have to be generic. So we have some that are simple, like this. Just
88
little
radio
microphone. So you can put this on and it's just a pin. It still entertains us, but it's not distracting and does not have an issue with copyright. Is there anything he doesn't collect? No. He collects. If it's something he likes, he gets them. That's kind of how it works. Like we have a ton of glasses with different characters on them. And the beauty is when they break, because these are not that old. I think they're the 80s into the 90s, but they break, they still make, or people still find them at flea markets and whatnot. So we find that kind of a thing. All of those. Do you want me to get the rest of those out?
Yeah.
Okay. The funny thing too is here's your Shirley Temple Police. There you go.
Yeah.
Here's the Shirley Temple Police pin, which is a great one. We don't use this one enough, actually. I'm realizing. Need to put that on. I kind of have my short list of go-tos pin wise that I like to use, and then every now and then again, if something is like during the TCM Film Festival, I'll have my dad get out some of his more rare ones, just because obviously the folks there love it and get really into it.
Here's a.
Yeah, I was going to pull that one out.
Here's Charlie McCarthy.
Never a bad time.
The only ventriloquist dummy to become a movie star.
I like this one. Will Rogers, he choose to run.
Yes, I like that too.
Will Rogers, he choose to run.
What are we here?
Yeah. Yeah, Doug is saying that the Kevin Feige episode is March 31st, 2017. Yeah, one of the easiest ways to find the episodes, if you're looking specifically, is type in Kevin Feige Maltin on movies to the interwebs, like go to Google or something, and then the episode will pop up. It's a bit easier to do it that way. Oh, I'm so glad. Missing, I purchased and saw Tucker and Dale vs. Evil because of your interview with Alan Tudyk, aka the voice of K2SO. I love Alan Tudyk. I am a huge fan of his, and have been for a very, very long time. And I was so excited when we got to interview him. And one of the most interesting things about his career is the amount of voice work he's done. And it's because he can do so many different types of voices, but also really loves it. So when he's imitating someone, like in Wreck-It Ralph,
imitates Ed Wynn,
you know,
as the voice of the Mad Hatter.
It's done with love, and that to me is what makes it really special. You know, he cares, and I appreciate that immensely. Do you have more of those in here right now?
Yeah, should.
Okay. Here's the chauffeur one.
Yeah,
show them this one, and I'll see if I can find some more.
1935, 1936 chauffeur. A California badge. Now, who licensed these chauffeurs? I don't know.
Oh, I love this one. Here. I don't think I see. They must have gone to a different one because I don't see any more of the Sam Peck ones. This is another one that's great. Keep America free to laugh at the Great Dictator, which would have been an advertisement for the film The Great Dictator.
Okay, I've got 3 of the 4 here.
Sure.
Okay, so this is a Charlie Chaplin button for Sam Peck suits, Sam Peck triple service suits. Now think about it. Charlie Chaplin in character as the little tramp. Is that who you want to recommend your suit
you want to buy? Is that the suit you want to buy? I don't think so. Yeah. But hey.
But these are all from the teens. And here's his best friend out in Hollywood, Douglas Fairbanks, Sr.
And lastly, but not leastly.
And here's William S. Hart. Also never seen in a conventional suit on the screen.
Yeah. I don't think they thought too much about it. They just kind of went with it, which I can respect. I love your little nipper. We've got a little nipper here.
The RCA Victor dog.
Yep. Which, by the way, I will always love that HMV still exists in the UK. HMV is I'm going to call it a record store, but CDs, records, whatever you want. And it's called HMV because it stands for His Master's Voice, which is Nipper, who represents that. So when I found that out and I looked and I went, oh my God, because they use the Nipper logo. And I just went, they still have this? I shocked, thrilled and shocked. Oh, Adam's written something lovely. A little update for you. I told you a few weeks ago that I was reading Starstruck. I can confirm that I have now finished the book, and it's one of the best books I've ever read.
Wow.
And it's the best book I've read this year. Thank you for your amazing stories, Leonard, and keep up the fantastic work. Thank you so much. That's so kind. We really appreciate it. He worked really, really hard on that book.
It's very meaningful. Thank you.
And I'm so glad that you enjoyed it.
Every time I wear this pin, it gets comments because people say, "Oh, you're the sheriff in town."
Whenever you wear any of your sheriff badges,
because
he has more than one, obviously. Whenever he has this one,
but this one frustrates me because people like it. They like the sort of the whimsicality of me wearing a sheriff's badge,
Yeah.
but it's depicting Wild Bill Hickok and his sidekick Jingles
Yep.
from the 1950s TV show that I grew up watching, starring Guy Madison and Andy Devine. And no one remembers that show except me
Yep.
and my wife
And whoever
and
made that pin.
yeah, and other people our age.
Yeah.
So it's
I get
it's a
that.
good news, bad news.
I get that. Hi, Stephen.
situation.
Stephen, when is the baby due? When is my when is the newest baby due? I have several friends who are about to give us new nieces and nephews all over the place, and I have to tell you, when the world feels at times like it is falling apart and melting, it's really nice to be able to focus on joyous things like new babies. Next week, oh my God! Well, that's thrilling. May 20. Oh my goodness. You're almost going to be a dad. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you and so excited. That is the best news. My birthday is next month. And so May 29th means that we're right nearby so we can all share birthday parties. It's going to be fabulous. My husband's birthday is tomorrow, actually. My husband's birthday is tomorrow. And then one of Daisy's little best friends is turning 2 on Tuesday. So it's an exciting week of birthdays. Do you have a sheriff badge for support your local sheriff with James Garner or Andy Griffith?
No,
not those.
Here, of course, which needs no justification, is Pete or Petey.
Petey
from the Little Rascals, our gang.
Because obviously we are a house that loves us some Little Rascals.
And here's everybody's hero, Tom Mix.
Yep.
Who, after his movie stardom waned, spent years traveling with circuses with his horse Tony, his very smart horse Tony.
Can he count?
Duh.
I'm just saying. I'm going to show you this pin because it brings me joy. So my dad has a couple of pins that I got him that are very sparkly. Shocking, I know. And I got them for when he's sort of dressed up because I figure why not have shiny objects? So these are newer, but I just love because whenever he wears them, he's got a super sparkly Donald Duck, which brings me great amounts of joy. He's got a super sparkly and large Sorcerer Mickey hat, which I also love. And then this one, because the first time I put it on you, you went, really? And I said, trust me. Every woman responded because I don't care who you are, you love Cinderella. If you are a little girl like me, you love you some Cinderella and the Magic Coach. And whenever I usually put this on him for weddings or anything sort of along those lines. And you always get responses because we all love it. And I love Cinderella stuff. I don't collect much at this point. But I love carriages. I just think they're beautiful. And I love the Cinderella carriage. It's one of my favorites. I'm trying to see what else is fun to pull out. I mean,
I'm so glad I'm answering one of our viewers. I'm so glad you saw the Mary Astor documentary that was done by Alexa Foreman.
Mm-hmm.
I was very happy to be in that. It's a very good film.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great one. International Al Jolson Society.
Yeah. Not a pin I can wear.
Not something he can wear very often, but something that we enjoy.
I still love Al Jolson.
I know. Well, but see, again, this look, we've said this about a million times. I don't think it's right to force someone to give up something they love, by which I mean, if you love Al Jolson, you are allowed to love Al Jolson. You just also know at the same time that you can't really show him to many people at this point. And we can all agree that blackface is a terrible decision. So it's like you can do that and still love something. You just also know that, you understand where the pitfalls are. But yeah, I don't like the idea of erasing things and pretending that they never happened or that they didn't exist. Because Al Jolson was pretty damn famous. And there are a lot of people who just loved him. Yeah, thank you. Jolson never needed a microphone. True. A few people are asking about Roger Corman, so before we finish up, we have to do that.
I like this Buck Jones horseshoe pin.
And again, guys, this is 2 of the little squares. He has 6 of them. Actually, more than that, really. There's
Yeah.
more underneath.
Yeah.
We have a lot of pins.
A lot of pins.
We have a lot of pins.
One of my producers at ET said, "Why do you wear those pins? People at home can't see them. They're too small."
We're not for
I
them.
said, "I don't wear them for them.
Yeah.
I wear them for me." He didn't get it.
No. We'll end with this just because it always makes me laugh. Bond Bred Lone Ranger Safety Club. Little bitty dinky thing.
If you believe in safety and the Lone Ranger
And bread. And Bond Bread.
Bond bread,
This is it.
white bread,
Yep. Yeah, never a bad
not
time.
not metaphorical white bread,
No.
literal white bread.
Anyway, gosh, we have so much. Yeah, you have so many things. We got another little deputy pin here. We love it. And you know what? If it brings you joy, that's what I always say to my dad. Sometimes he'll go, "Oh, I saw this pin." I said, "Just get it. You love them. You know, you love them." I just read what that says, and this is definitely another pin we can't wear out. Uncle Whip Kitty Club. Gimbals. Some things that have to just stay home. Thank you guys.
Excuse me.
Please don't die. Thank you guys, as always, for joining us. We really appreciate it. We will be here next week. I'm sorry. Sharpshooter. I lied.
Oh,
I'm
this
gonna
is
show this
my
one too.
MGM sharpshooter.
This is Sharpshooter 1938 MGM Police Department. Such a good one. I have to say, what always blows my mind is realizing how old a number of these pins are.
Mhm.
And the fact that they look, really, some of them look like they were made yesterday. I mean, this, obviously, it's got some tarnish on the back,
Yeah.
but you would never in your life imagine that it was from 1938. You
No.
just,
No.
so that's something, I love that we live with history in our house, and there's so much history around us, and the things my parents collect. Because I think it's really special to have them. And periodically I will say to my dad, as you know, we're trying to put this pin on a jacket or something. And I said, "How old do you think that pin is, by the way?" And he'll go, 100 years, you know,
Yeah, I mean, that's what's really
80 years,
creepy.
90 years. And you go, "Oh, that's insane." So yeah, the fact that sort of little things like this can exist, and stay. Oh, sorry. Don't go before you say a word about Roger Corman. Say something about Roger Corman.
Roger Corman, truly a legend
Mm.
in Hollywood.
And mentor to a number of your friends.
Well, yeah. First off, he was a groundbreaking independent filmmaker in the 50s, when it meant making films on the fly for virtually no money. He became expert at that. He could do an incredible number of setups in a day.
Mhm.
He made do with lousy special effects, with lousy costuming, but good actors, and turned out drive-in fare. That was what it was at the time.
Mhm.
And he worked with the burgeoning American International Pictures, Sam Markoff and James Nicholson, and made his mark with the Edgar Allan Poe movies that he made, mostly with Vincent Price. Some of those made in England. He was onto certain trends. He did the first Hell's Angels movie, Wild Angels, but then, having directed something like 50 films, he decided he wanted to sit back in the producer's chair and let other people do the actual heavy lifting. And
Which
so,
he'd earned.
yes, which he very much earned. So he became a producer, and a company called New World Pictures. They dubbed themselves, and the New World was the launch pad for so many careers, starting with Martin Scorsese. Oh, starting with Francis Coppola, then Martin Scorsese, and then Marty recommended a friend of his from New York named Jonathan Kaplan, and brought him out here. The legend goes that Jonathan Kaplan got a call saying, "Hi, this is Roger Corman. We have a film starting Monday. I booked you on a flight out of JFK tomorrow." And Jonathan recommended his friend Joe Dante, or John Davison.
Mm-hmm.
And John recommended his friend Joe Dante to come out and cut trailers here. And Joe recommended his friend Alan Arkish. These are all pals of mine for decades. And so there was this continual influx of energy and vigor and can-do spirit.
Mm.
And they went along with Roger's credo of grindhouse entertainment. And they were never going to win awards. They just want to get films in the can and get them released. And as John once explained to me, open them in a market, saturate that market the first weekend, because when the word of mouth gets around how bad these films are, they'll never have a second weekend. Oh, Ron Howard was another one. Ron Howard starred in a film, a Corman film, and then asked Roger if he could direct one. And Roger gave him his first directing job, Eat My Dust. And John Davison, John and Joe and Alan Arkish bet Roger that they could make a film in 1 week for $50,000. And they did it. And that was called Hollywood Boulevard. And it was always intended to have be made up of stock footage from other New World pictures. But they did it.
Mm.
The stories are endless. Anyway, Corman used to say, if you're lucky, you'll never have to work for me again.
So again, you know, we always say legend or idol or icon, all these things. People like to throw these words around, but he really, he took people under his wing. Mm-hmm. It was hard work, but they made it.
Yeah.
You know, it was, everybody wanted to be there. And I've always really loved hearing, especially Joe Dante and Alan Arkish talk about those stories, because you can just tell it was like it's a bunch of kids. It's a bunch of kids just making things happen.
Yeah.
You know, and there's something really special about that. So
he bought American rights to a Japanese disaster movie and dubbed it into English.
And how could anything go wrong?
John told me that the guy who delivered their lunch, they pulled him into the voiceover booth and had him do one of the speeches. And it was one of the most moving speeches in the film. Crazy story.
Whatever works, right? Okay. Thank you guys so much.
Tidal wave.
See you.
Thank you.
There you go. Tidal wave. We will see you next week. Everybody be well and stay safe, and